Hello everyone, Felipe here. Hi. So this is the show. It's called Draw Whose Life. It's very similar to that very famous game YouTubers play called Draw My Life, except that this is not my life, it's someone else's. So you're going to listen to the story of a person and you need to tell me who this person is or was. It's a fictional character. I hope that helps. So you're going to listen to their full story, and by the end there's going to be a question who the person is, and you need to tell me who the person is. Also stay until the end and you're going to get to listen to who the character from last week was. Well, I hope you have fun. See you later. Yeah, I was born to a poor family in Scotland. I worked on shoe shining, and this is how I got my first dime. It was an American dime, and it became my amulet. I said, you know what? I'm going to move to the United States. Bye bye, family. So there I met my uncle in Mississippi. My uncle got the boat and he invited me to be his helper, paying me a very little salary. We sailed the Mississippi River and then I got to meet a bunch of guys who were up to no good, and they were attacking us, and then they dressed up as pirates, and I never expected to fight pirates, but that's what I did. My uncle tried to protect me, but in the end I had to fight for him and for our boat. They sank our boat, then we had to rebuild our boat, and then my uncle sold the boat to me. He was tired of all of that. So I became a captain, and for 2 years I took care of that boat. To be honest, we didn't make a lot of money because of the railroads. So at some point, those guys that were in jail, they came back and they had to fight them again. It was not fun. I realized I was completely broke, and I started thinking, what can I do with my life now? So I went west. On my way west, I found a group of cowboys, and they were taking care of cattle, and I asked, hey, can I join? Can I work for you? And I started working as a buckaroo. Yeah, I was riding a horse and taking care of cattle for some time. And then one day my boss said, you know what, I can't pay you anymore. So after 2 nice years, I had to give up on being a buckaroo, and I decided to become a prospector. I bought a pickaxe and start digging. At some point, I found copper, and I was like, oh no, I invested all my money and all I could find was copper. What do people even use copper for? And then I learned that finally electricity had reached the West, so I realized there was money in copper. Also, this is very interesting. At the time, miners could use any land they settled in, so I made a portable house, so I could take my house anywhere and I could dig anywhere. At some point, I learned about something called the Apex Law, and I got a whole copper company for myself. But I had to sell it to go back to Scotland and help my family. It was unfortunate. So when I got to Scotland, I realized my family was about to lose their castle. My father was happy to see me, and he was especially happy that I brought money so he could pay their debt and keep the castle. We had some very mean neighbors, and they didn't like this idea. They got mad, they dishonored us, and to defend my family honor, I accepted to participate in a duel. Yeah, a duel, wearing armors and whatnot. Although I won, fair and square, a lightning struck me and I fell to the bottom of a river. The weight of the armor kept me down and I could swear I died, cause I saw all my forefathers, but I didn't. I used my dime, my amulet, to unscrew the armor and be released. After that, I went to Africa to dig for gold. There was no gold there. Actually, only big companies got to make money in Africa. Then I went to Australia. I spent 4 years in Australia. For 4 years, I was trying to work and find gold. It's very hard. One day, I met a shaman and I helped him recover a sacred relic. Well, it's a full story of how I got to see the sacred relic and I had to run after the thief who got it. I got him back and then I had to escape from a flash flood. Yeah, I never expected to see flood in the middle of the desert. I jumped back into the cave to see if I could protect myself from the flood. It nearly didn't. Well, I put the sacred relic back in its place and I start walking when I realized I had lost my dime. I lost my amulet, but the shaman helped me find it inside a chua, a bowerbird's nest. They collect shiny stuff and they put it in their nest, and there it was, my dime, my amulet. I left Australia heading to the United States, but this time I went to Alaska. Somehow, when I got back in the US, my fame had preceded me. Some famous folk recognized me by looking at my silver dime in a string. Well, who else has a silver dime in a string? Upon hearing about gold up north, I headed to Canada. When I got there, Dawson City was but a small town. It grew impressively when people started getting there after gold. I crossed the Moosneck Glacier. It was like a wall of ice, and I crossed it through a cave cut by the creek. When I got to the other side, I realized I was the only one there. I was the emperor of White Agony Valley. Well, I started digging and digging and digging. When I found the mother lode, I had to go back to the city and file my claim of the land. There, I was attacked and robbed by a loan shark who owned a casino. He read my mail out loud so that everybody could listen to him, the whole city, and by reading my mail, he was the one to tell me that my mother had passed. When I escaped, I had him delivered to justice. Back to Agony Valley, I kept working hard until I found the biggest gold nugget I had ever seen. It made me the richest of the land, and of course, the most hated too. I don't care. People are mean and treacherous and they always try to jump and rob me from my hard-working hands, but I don't care. People are mean and treacherous and they always try to jump and rob from my hard-working hands. Gold? Gold never betrayed me. After 2 years of gold digging, I became a millionaire. Circumstances forced me to open up a bank. Using the experience I gained in 20 years of world travel, I found I could master every business I tried my hand on. And I tried my hand at many different businesses. After 5 years, I became a billionaire. It was then when I decided to visit my family in Scotland. I had left 22 years prior to that. When I arrived in Scotland, everybody was waiting for me. They knew I was a successful man, they just didn't expect how successful I was. But then I realized I didn't belong there anymore. I felt so different. My father advised me to take my sisters back to the United States with me. And I did, and I moved back to the United States, to the West Coast. Well, it was a nice place, and I had my sisters with me, but you know how families go. At some point, we were fighting so much, and they were complaining so much of how much time I spent with my money and my gold. After a whole ordeal, they left, and we stopped talking for a while. Well, it's their bad. I have my gold. I have my mountain of gold. It's lonely up here, but the gold never betrayed me. After some time, I've heard that my sisters married and they had their happy lives. One day, one of my sister's son stopped by in front of my house. He said he was going to serve his country, so he needed to leave, and he left his 3 nephews so I could take care of them. As if I had ever learned how to take care of children. Well, I think retirement is over now. Okay guys, that was our episode. I hope you had fun. I hope you had learned. I hope by the end you know who this person was. Well, please tell us if you do know who this person is. I'm really curious to see if you get to find out. I had a lot of fun doing this. I hope you had fun as well. Oh, and by the way, we need to talk about last week. So in last episode, well, on the last episode, we talked about this guy. See, do you remember him? So, who is this guy anyway? You are going to be right if your answer was Sherlock Holmes. Yes, that's Sherlock Holmes the detective. That was the story of Sherlock and his good friend Watson and his nemesis, Dr. Moriarty. I hope you had fun this episode. I hope you get to find out who this person of today's episode is. If you didn't, you can go back to the beginning, watch once again. Maybe you get a clue you didn't notice before. Well, on our next episode, I'll tell you the answer. So that's it. I hope you have had your fun. This is Teacher Felipe saying goodbye. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.